Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back, or welcome to, another Bangs audio review. Today, we are going to do the audio by Queen of Aviation. Yep, I did that. I did it. I actually did it by accident before in a different video. I can't remember which one, but I just thought it was funny. So I did it again. We're wrapping Queen of Audio Week this week with the Aviation. The Aviation is a single DD 3 Knowles BA configuration. Yeah. Yep. All of that and a box of chocolates. So let's get started with, let's take a look at the build, fit, finish, unboxing, and specs. We'll get that out of the way. I'll try to make it quick because we really want to know more about how it sounds and what it compares to. And we will do some comparisons. Two comparisons. In the box is lovely, by the way. The box is also a slow Rick and Morty ramp. Always like, you know, it is kind of cool though, because there has to be some amount of engineering involved to have things fit kind of that perfectly. I don't know. It's a pain, but it's also kind of cool and secure. In the box, you've got your cards. There are the QR codes, which you may scan at your own risk. Oh, I don't want to cover up Mouzetian there. Specs. Oh, look at that. That's handy. Right there in front of us. So, alright, driver spec. 3 Knowles BA, 1 dynamic driver. It is an 8mm dynamic driver, and I think it is an LCP, I think. I'll have to check that, but we'll call it that for now. 39 ohm impedance, 118 decibels on the sensitivity, frequency range of 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz, and your cable. We'll get to the cable. The cable is OCC. It's a 5N OCC modular. There's the modulars. 3.5, 4.4. Cool. Cable. When you buy a Kinera or Kinera Celeste or Queen of Audio set, you're going to get a good cable. This is no exception. This cable, however, is out of order, unfortunately. But fortunately, because it was a DAC app incident that my friend experienced, neither the iems nor his hearing was damaged, but the cable was fried like chicken. So couldn't actually test it with the stock cable, but I will give the stock cable a thumbs up as far as quality goes and the fact that it's modular. We'll set you back in there. To an early grave. Sorry. Ear tips. You've got your standard vocal ear tips and balanced ear tips. I did use the mediums some, but not a lot, and I'll get to why on that as well. And of course the iems, which are gorgeous. These are the Mirage. They also come in Galaxy. Galaxy is a little more subdued, but I'm sure that they're gorgeous in person. Here, let's throw some light on that. See if we can get them to shine real nice. Yeah, how about the detail on that? Yeah, I think I can understand why these are sold out on some sites, and the Galaxies are still available, but they're all still available. I'll link where you can get them in the description as usual. And then you get the case. Woo! The case is large enough to throw in a Muse Hi-Fi M3 Mark II. You can throw that right in the little pouch there if you want. And your connection cable. And the iems. And your cable. It's just not going in your pocket. Ooh, jeez, that was kind of loud. Alright, sorry about that. Excellent quality case. Baggable, not pocketable. Fine. And the snap is broken, and gotta hope that was broken before they got to me, because I didn't break them, Mike, I swear. I did not. But yeah, so it has a nice snap on it. Just this one is... anyway. Moving right along, I would say the build quality on these is exceptional. I would say the finishes are polished and without hard edge and just really smooth. Well done. All of this would lend itself to a very comfortable fit. The fit, well, that was an issue for me. So I had to do a couple of things. Because the stock cable was not operable, I decided to get the nicest cable that I own out and put it on them. This is the Moondrop Line K. It's like a 75 core. No, I think it's a 6 core. It's like a silver-plated copper graphene alloy $50 cable. I know cables get in the hundreds and even thousands of dollars, but this is one of the nicer ones that I own. Here's the problem. I couldn't use it with the set because of the overly aggressive ear hooks. Now, eventually I'll take a heat gun to them or a hairdryer if that'll work and try to stretch these out a little bit because I don't use them at all because of the ear hooks. But on the Aviation, they were especially uncomfortable. That had something to do with the shape of the iems and where the connection point is. It was miserable. Like I couldn't wear them. I was loving how they sounded, but I couldn't wear them for more than 5 minutes because they were just so freaking uncomfortable. Along comes Timmy's Chopin, which will be one of our comps. The Chopin cable was somewhere else. I think it was in a bag in the drawer of confusion. I was like, I need a really smooth, really thin cable that's still good to put on the Aviation so I can actually test them. And the cable from the Chopin was perfecto. Then I realized that I was going to comp the Chopin with the Aviation, so I got it out. What do you know? The jelly cable from Triple Win was on the freaking Chopin, so I quickly switched those out and swapped the cable, the jelly, onto the Aviation, and bang, zoom, done, gone, perfect. No more uncomfortable fit issues. They allowed the iems to sit in my ears the way that they should. So, second fit issue. You will notice there are Tang Sanchai tips. Yes. Why? Why? Don't those usually take the top off of the sub bass or the mid bass or both? Well, yeah, they can. They can do that. In this case, thankfully, they didn't do it too much. At least, I don't really think they ended up doing it much at all. But what they did do was release the freaking pressure buildup. So the only vent on the Aviation is this tiny little guy right here. And from what I can tell, it doesn't really vent much of any air at all. Because when you put these in, they almost feel like they're earplugs. And I can't stand that feeling in IEMs. Like, if I want to wear earplugs, like if I'm going freaking deep sea diving, I'll put in earplugs, okay? You know, if I'm going to a Meshuggah concert and I don't want to lose my hearing, I will position some earplugs, not fully in because I still want to hear the music, but you get the idea. The pressure buildup is just really beyond annoying. It's, again, like I couldn't keep them in. I tried the Osla tips, both of those. I tried the Duna SNS tips. I tried my favorites, the Divinus Velvet tips, and the pressure was just, it sucked. So I was like, that's great. I solved one problem, and then I got another one thrown at me, and then it dawned on me the Tang Sanchai air tips are very good at alleviating such pressure buildup, which they did freaking perfectly. So yeah, problem number 2 solved. It was a rough start to this review. This review, until actually this morning, earlier today, was not going to be super positive. Apologies, Sophia Yu. You are amazing. Your company rocks. But it was just going to be like, God, I love these, but I can't wear them, you know, and that was just, I've only run into really one other set of IEMs that I couldn't wear, and that was the Muse Hi-Fi, the East 6, which were just fucking painful to wear. These weren't that bad, but they were uncomfortable until I solved the cable problem and the tip problem. Once that was solved, damn. they rocketed up the charts, like right to the very kind of top. So, what would I would describe this as, frequency response wise, tonality, tuning. I would characterize it as a very good all-rounder and a very immersive type of feel or sound to them, but different than the recently goated by me, Adonis OG 1.0, not the new Adonis. The immersion is different. The immersion on the Aviation is, go figure, lifted. So they take you up instead of down. The Adonis's immersion is deep. So freaking deep. Like, you can just get lost in it. It's so deep. The Aviation's different. The Aviation is an elevated immersion. So the immersion, the head stage, that is all basically going to be chin up or from the ears up. And it is immersive. It is ethereal. It is really, really cool. There's a lot of 3D. Everything pans correctly. It goes front to back. It just doesn't go down. Like, you don't feel it in your testicles or your labia, if that's, if you're a woman. It doesn't get down that far. It just stops at your head. It is literally head stage. That's what you got. But it's big. It's big and it's immersive. It's just high, So put these in and get high. You're going to have a wonderful time, I can tell you that. Anyway, so yeah, that's the feel, right? That's the feel of them. The sub bass has some rumble. It might have more if you could use different ear tips, but I couldn't. So I will just say that it is there. It is adequate. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just not super extended. You could feel it though. You can feel it. The mid bass is really well articulated. Great attack and decay. Very impactful. Again, not as big and not as enveloping as the Adonis. I guess we're comping with the Adonis first. But still very satisfying. Not a full-on bass headset, but definitely satisfying enough so that if you are a bass head like I am, you're still going to enjoy the bass on these. The fact that there's good speed, there's good transients, there's no bleed into the mids. The mids I feel are a very good point of emphasis, because vocals and instrumentation lying in those frequencies are very articulate. Again, I love that word. Clear, still a little bit warm and quite engaging, so excellent there. And then, as you might imagine, with the head stage, the sound stage, the way that it is, the treble is elevated, extended, crisp, clear, detailed, and expansive. And I think that's also a little bit where it differs from the Adonis. The Adonis has a different feel to it. I'm not going to say the D word, because it's not, because the Adonis has plenty of treble. It's just that I feel like the Aviation is a little bit more. Never fatiguing, never gritty, never sibilant, just more. If you follow me on that, okay, good. So, genres and test tracks. What did it do well? Again, I say it's an all-around set. It does. There isn't really one genre it did not get along with. My metal rating is an 8.5 out of 10. Reason being for that is that it didn't. They didn't really get along with Slaughter to Prevail, which is a difficult band for most iems to play anyway. And older Meshuggah and older like Lamb of God, like the non-high res recordings, were a little rough. Like these got a little bit. They're a little out of their element. They were a little bit, not necessarily bottomed out, but just kind of a little bit, just kind of eh. So it gets just 8.5 out of 10. Believe me, that's still a really solid score, because metal is a hard genre for iems to play. It is. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care what anyone says about metalheads not appreciating sound quality or caring about it or high res. Totally, completely untrue. So yeah, I think metal is a good test for iems. And I will say it again, if it can play metal well, most likely it's going to play everything else just fine. In this case, that held true. Jazz and classical, acoustic music, very, very good. Very clear, very detailed. Pop, K-pop, again, just, they're an enjoyable set. They have this nice balance between musicality and technicality. It's just like, it reminds me a little bit of the Sennheiser HD 660S2. It's a mouthful. In that respect, where it's very technically proficient, but also super musical and enjoyable. So it's a really nice combination. Queen of Audio seems to get this pretty well. Like, they do it pretty well in all of their sets. I did, after the title of the video, Learning to Fly, I listened to 3 renditions of Learning to Fly. I didn't know, that there was a third one, and unfortunately I found it. But you probably know the first 2 artists. You had Pink Floyd do it in the late 80s, their rendition, their original, and then Tom Petty with his original version of the song in the early 90s. And then in September of 2023, Christina Aguilera added a Learning to Fly song, her own original, and that made me want to put my head through a plate glass window. Christina, you're really talented. You've got an amazing voice. Why? Why did you go all Bette Midler on me? Why? Anyway, suffice to say, no. And then, to recover, Learn to Fly from the Foo Fighters, right there. Fucking amazing. Gave me chills. So, Tom Petty's, not like a heavy song, obviously. Learning to Fly, more acoustic instruments, so forth. That was very crisp, clear, detailed. Pink Floyd, a little more trippy, a little more effects, a little more, immersion, 3D stuff going on. Aviation nailed it on that. We won't talk about Xtina. And, Foo Fighters just rocking. So, test tracks, I didn't find a weak point other than older, heavier metal. So, again, if you don't listen to older, heavier metal, anything you do listen to is going to sound pretty freaking amazing through the Aviation. Insofar as the comps go, I think I've rounded that out pretty well with the Adonis. I prefer the Adonis. The Adonis has one less BA, but it does have a full frequency nulls to go with the 10mm dynamic driver. That sound signature is more up my alley because I am a bass head. So I like the deep immersion and slightly more impactful bass of the Adonis over the Aviation. Aviation equally as good, just a different tuning style. And then Timmy's the Chopin, it kind of just didn't hold up. And I love this set, and I love the fact that it's fun and bassy and musical, but from the mids were much better on the Aviation, and the techs were much better on the Aviation, and the immersion was much better on the Aviation. So pound for pound, $200 for $200, it's pretty much hands down the Aviation, and the Aviation has definitely replaced the Chopin in my top 5, and I will redo my top 5 for y'all, because there's some new additions to it. A couple of old standbys, but a couple of new additions for it as well. I think I better expand it into a top 10 and eventually do a ranking list. It just seems like so much work, but I should do it for you. Makes sense. Anyway, end of the day, end of the week, Queen of Audio week was fan-fucking-tastic. I had a great time doing it. The sets are very impressive. The price points are appropriate. Gimlet at 60, Vesper 2, which I did before the week started, but Vesper 2 at 90, the Adonis at 170, the Aviation at 200. I think the only one I'm missing might be the Pink Lady, which is right in the middle there, around 120, but eventually I'll probably get to that. It was a really, really fun week. The sets are really, really good. The sets are well worth their price, and the sets are all recommended. The Aviation gets a highly recommended. Just be patient and take your time and get that fit and seal right. And if you do, you will be rewarded. So if they're not like great right out of the box, tweak them. They're gonna respond, and they're gonna sound great. My thanks to Sforzable for supplying me the sets. They will be on their way back to you, except the Adonis. I'm keeping that. Just kidding, buddy. They will be on their way back to you. And coming up, the community chosen FIO FD3 will be reviewed. The CK LVX D41 will get its own review because I did just a comp video of that. And the Relentless is on its way. Kinera Celeste has been ordered, should be here in a couple of weeks. That'll be coming up soon too. So there you go. Anyway, that's all for today. The Aviation, excellent, highly recommended. That's all I got for you. Love y'all. Nothing but peace to you. We'll see you soon.